What's up, Godzilla fans? Gojira54 here, and today I'm here to do a video, and today's video is actually on my review of The Walking Dead Season 5, what happened and what's going on. So yeah, guys, this episode was... You see, here's the whole thing about this episode. I thought it was going to be something else, because we saw what happened with Beth, previously, and then I thought, we were going to see how they get out of the city, but we get something totally different, actually. We get this whole thing where they, Noah tells them about this childhood place where his mom and all that stuff was, so they take him there, and then turns out they're all dead. So yeah, I mean, already it's pretty dark and stuff, but also people are just, getting up things off their chest, trying to survive, just basically getting out of their minds what happened with Beth. Also, though, I do want to mention there's this opening sequence that had me confused at the very beginning, and by the end I sadly got it. But it was weird, because you had Lizzie and Mika in one scene saying, it's alright, it's better now, and then you had somebody digging, just dirt and stuff, and then you had the prison, and I kind of linked the prison and the dirt thing to Lori, but I was totally wrong again. So Rick, Glenn, and Michonne, though, go out, and Noah and Tyrese, they go ahead, and they go out to the place to see if it's alright, but it turns out, like I said, everybody's dead, so they scavenge the area. So then Rick, Michonne, and Glenn split up to go check this other part to see if there's anything they can salvage. And then Tyrese and Noah go ahead and stay back there because Noah just basically has a nervous breakdown because he lost his family. But then not much happens between Rick and Glenn and then, Michonne and stuff, except them finally deciding that they are going to go to Washington, D.C., because they're only 100 miles from it, which isn't that long, actually, depending on how much gas they have, really, but it isn't that long. But while Tyrese is watching over Noah, Noah takes off running to his house, and Tyrese chases him, and he says, I want to go in there. And Tyrese is like, no, you don't. But then he still does. So Tyrese goes first, and they see, a dead body on the floor. I'm guessing that's probably Noah's mom or something like that. And he covers her up, and then Tyrese goes into the other room, and he looks at all the pictures, and he starts to... You see, there was this bond he had, because he was saying how his dad always told him to keep up with the news. It was just something, to do his part to the world. And he's very sentimental in that way. He was just looking at all the pictures and stuff of, Noah as a child with his twin brother. And it was really sad, and he was looking, and he saw the dead body on the bed, his brother, and all of a sudden, the walker gets up, and right when I thought Tyrese was going to freak out and just, totally destroy it, it bites him on the arm. So Tyrese gets bitten. Yeah, it's insane, really. I mean, he gets bitten, and the walker tries to bite him again, and then it starts pushing up against the wall, so then he has to let it bite at him again to grab something else and hit it with it. And it's just total, oh my god. I was like, what? They, Tyrese got bit. And later I was like, oh, they're gonna chop it off, right? And then it was just insane though. He fell down under his desk, and Noah came in and he said, hang on, I'm gonna go get help. And then Tyrese, this is where we get into some freaky stuff. Now, this was probably my favorite part of the episode, actually. This is where we get to see Tyrese's dream or hallucination sequences. We have Martin, who was the guy, who Tyrese said he killed. But we have Martin, they're just basically talking crap about him, and, saying it's always the guy who looks out for the child. And we have Lizzie and Mika, saying it's alright, it's better now, and then we also had Beth playing her guitar and stuff like that. It was really haunting, but my favorite part of it was the governor, because the governor is my favorite character. And, he was just no. And he walked in, he was like, you knew what you had to do, And it was just, insane to see him again. I love David Morrissey so much. And at that point, I was like, oh my god, I love this episode, And then he started getting closer and closer. The governor was all intimidating. And then all of a sudden, bam, he turns into the walker. And he tries to bite him again. So then Tyrese actually has to, get away. So yeah, but it's just really kind of terrible. Because that's the scene where, he has to let him bite him again. So, bite his arm again to get away. So it's just really bad, though. So he falls down again, and then he starts hallucinating even more. And then he talks about how, basically, the whole theme of Tyrese, really, is that he never gave up. And that's what I loved about him. He never did give up. When things got hard, he never gave up. And that was his whole message. And he said to the governor, his hallucination, he got up and said, no, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I am not going to give up. Because everybody was saying, you know, it's all right. But then he said no. And then we start having more hallucinations and stuff like that. And Lizzie and Mika pulling his arm. And then what do you know? It's actually Rick pulling his arm. And then somebody else chopping it. You know, Michonne, I think it was. So yeah, it's really insane though. So they drag him back. And this is a really another kind of scene, you know. It really kind of hurts because, you know, they have to kill all the walkers so they can get him in the car. And he's in the car. And, you know, he's listening to the radio, which plays a big part in this episode. He says, turn it off. And then all of a sudden, you see Bob, you know, look behind him. He says, are you sure? And then Beth is driving. Lizzie and Mika are there. And then they say, it's all right. And then you see his eyes start to close. I'm not going to lie. I cried like a bitch. Yeah. But, I mean, God, this was just so sad. Really, because he actually gave up. And I know he had to. But because Bob was saying, you know, this is how it has to be. But it was just so sad to see him. I love this character. And he's dead. So they drag him out of the car. And then we get this scene where we have Father Gabriel going, you know, reading off the stuff. And it's just so sad. They bury him. Sasha's really sad about it. And then, you know, Rick is all... After they bury him, Rick starts digging it up. And something that really made me go, oh, was they had this little... They had the two sticks. And they had Tyrese's hat. Yeah. That was sad. But yeah, so highlights of the episode, though, David Morrissey back. I mean, by far. David Morrissey was my favorite part of this episode. Or one of my favorite parts. I really love David Morrissey. And the governor is just awesome and intimidating. Also, the hallucination scenes, just in general. I mean, the scene with Tyrese, they were just so powerful. They were like, oh my god, you know, they were really tugging at your heart. So yeah, bad parts of the episode, or the, you know, the not so good, is that there's not a lot of progression in this episode, really. Tyrese dies, and that's really it, you know. It might affect the characters, but in the long run, there's not that much progression, besides the fact that they were going to go to Washington, D.C., and if you do read the comics, you already knew that. So yeah. But guys, rest in peace, Tyrese. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Give a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Tell me if you guys watched it. Go and tell me what you think down below. But thank you guys so much for watching again, and go Jared 5400 out.